All right, I get a lot of questions about my truck and how I do all my camping in the back, but a common question I get a lot is, how do I dust proof the back? Now, first off, nothing is 100% dust proof, but you can really reduce it. This is my system and what I do, and I've kind of built this and tried different things through tons of experimenting and years of what works, what doesn't, and what works the best. So I've got a little maintenance I've got to do to it, and I thought I would do a video and kind of show you guys how I dust proof the back of my truck. It's super simple. The reason I got to do some maintenance is because here in Minnesota the winters get tough and it kind of tears up some of my stuff with the ice, but it's pretty simple. But again, like I said, this is years of trial and error and lots of dust in the back, and what I've come up with that I feel like is the best. So just you only need a couple things. The foam is the biggest, and this is just the it's this real soft foam like this, and you can get this at most hardware stores, and what it is it's for window air conditioners, and you put it in along the window air conditioners to seal up your gap. But this is what I'm using here. Again, I use probably even amounts of it, so you want both sizes. And then just a real sharp pair of scissors, an X-Acto, and a little screwdriver. And all I use the screwdriver for is poking that foam in some of the holes. But I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to hop in here and just kind of go over what I have done with some of the stuff inside the bed and how I can see where my light areas are. All right, I'm in the back of the truck, and you might get some echo because it's obviously pretty sealed up in here. But I just wanted to show you something here with these pickups. A big thing that I've learned that really helps with the dust, and I don't know if all makes and models of trucks are like this, but the Chevy and GMCs that I've had are all like this. But if you look underneath your rail here for your topper, there's huge holes up under this rail here, and I'm not exactly positive what it's for. I'm guessing airflow. So like the inside of your sidewalls and the bed of your pickup are hollow, and there's big gaps here that it took me a little while to figure out that these are here, and they're a huge reason for a lot of my dust coming in. But I'll show you those, but real quick, you got to have a real good seal between your cap and the rail of your truck. So use that cap sealer. It's just like some really thin, sticky foam stuff, and I actually use that on the lid of my camper there too. But I'll show you that in a bit. But I'm going to show you up underneath this rail here, these big holes in here, and what I do with them. Okay, you can see here I've got two holes. You see that huge hole? That's just a big empty void that goes down into your wheel well. And that dust will just pour out of there. And what I do is I use the wider foam pieces and I shove those up in there. And what you got to do is cut a big enough piece where you can kind of squish it to where that entire hole is sealed up. And you can see here on the bottom, I still got a little gap, and that's going to let foam in. Let dust in. You got to sit there and work this foam all the way until it completely covers that up, just like that. And you can see underneath this rail, there's holes like that all the way. There's a bunch of them on every side. So use that big stuff. That's a real big one right there. That one will drive you nuts. That's where a ton of your dust is going to come from. All right, you can see another spot there that's open where the light's coming through. That dust is going to come through, and that's where my bed meets my cab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little piece of foam, and I'm going to use that screwdriver and push it in that hole there. All right, you can see now that hole is completely plugged and there's absolutely no light coming through. So that's sealed up and we're not going to have a problem with dust there. All right, another thing you'll notice up here towards the head of the bed of the truck is there's a bunch of little holes like this. And I don't worry about these because what I do is I lay carpet down on the bed of my truck for cushioning and for insulation. So that carpeting and the base that I put down on the bed of my truck will plug those holes up. All right, so once you get all the holes under your rail all taken care of, take your time. You can make it look nice and just plug them holes up underneath your rail as best as you can with that foam. And there's several of them, so just make sure you don't miss any, because if you miss one, that'll account for a lot of dust. But something I like doing, getting in the back of the truck like this and closing everything up, it really helps you, you know, with the entire thing, find out where all the little air holes are. But it really helps with the tailgate. You get back in here and you can really see where the gaps are in your tailgate. And your tailgate is one of the worst spots where dust is going to come in, and you need to seal that up good. Now I'll spin the camera around here and show you what I'm talking about. All right, this is the side I've already done. I've sealed up one side of my tailgate and not the other, just so you can see the difference. And I'll go over what I do to seal that tailgate up here in a minute when we get out. But I wanted to show you, you can see here, you can see how you can't see any light coming through that. And that's all sealed up, and dust won't get in that. Now if you go over here to the other side, you can see that huge gap right there. And that is a massive gap, and tons of dust will come through that. And I'm going to go over here in a second and I'll show you both sides what I've done, and then we'll seal that one up, and I'll hop out of here and show you. Okay, now that we're out, I'm going to show you the gasket. I think it's by, like, I don't know what brand it is, Tuxedo or something. There's a tailgate seal gasket type thing, and it really helps seal the bottom and the sides of your tailgate up, but it does not completely seal up your tailgate from dust. There's still a lot of gaps, and I'll go over that quick, but I'm just going to show you that gasket here real quick. You can see it starts in the top, goes down, and goes all the way along the bottom, and then it goes up just like that. Okay, so once you buy that gasket, I don't remember how much it costs, but I know you can order it on Amazon for pretty reasonable. But before you stick anything on your truck, that gasket, any of the adhesive, make sure you wipe it down with, I like to use, you know, rubbing alcohol, or I've got a little tub here of acetone. I just dip a rag in it and clean everything off. It's got to be clean. If you got dust on it, it ain't going to stick nearly as good, and it's not going to last as long. But I'm going to show you here, in addition to that tailgate gasket, what I've done. So I've taken that smaller squared foam and I've spray adhesived it on here. And you can just, once you spray the adhesive on, you want to leave it for a while so it gets real tacky, and then stick it on. So that seals up that all the way down to here. And what I found, if you go any further than that, when you close your gate, your cable is going to smush that foam down and create gaps, and you're still going to get dust. So then I come up here, and where this gasket stops, I run another piece of foam here, and what that does is this whole thing is kind of like a chamber right here, and you want to seal that up. And this paired up with that completely seals this whole area up, and that can fill up with dust and everything, and it's not going to seep into the back of your cab or the back of your camper. And then another thing that I do is I come up top here and I put a little adhesive here, and I put this piece on, so when your tailgate comes up, it seals nice and tight to that. And I'll show you, I'll shut the tailgate here and show you what that looks like. Okay, so you can see here that foam is in this gap right here, and it seals that up real nice. And then I don't have any here, and that's where that cable is. So dust is still going to get in here, but it can't go up past that piece of foam that we put across in here. And then this is that piece that I showed you that just sits flush with the tailgate. And that little bit right here, you wouldn't believe how much dust that can let in there. So I'm going to shut my topper here, and I put a little piece, a little flap of this gasket seal that goes underneath between your actual truck bed and your topper. It's that topper tape stuff, and it's just foam, and I put a little bit on there to create a better flap to seal that up. But you can see that tailgate corner right there is extremely sealed up. I don't want to say no dust is going to get in there, but no dust is going to get through that. All right, and I'll show you real quick. I didn't bring this up when I was talking about what you all need. So this is what I use to put the foam on to stick to the tailgate and the topper. It's high strength 3M 90 contact adhesive, and you want to find stuff that's heat resistant, because when it gets real hot it won't release the adhesive, but that's a must. All right, so I'm just going to take a piece of the smaller foam here, and I'm going to pre-measure it out, and I put it right behind the bolt for your cable here, your tailgate cable, and then I just follow the contour of the tailgate, and then I just clip it off flush with the back here, just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some spray adhesive on here, and then once that sets, I'll stick this piece of foam on there. And it's really important, once you get the adhesive sprayed on your piece of foam, just hold it for a little bit. That adhesive, it takes a minute or so for it to really get tacky, and if you put it on too soon, it's just going to slide around and it's not going to set where you want it to. So just give it a minute before you put it on there. All right, now that our adhesive is nice and tacky, we're going to go ahead and fit it right on the tailgate. And you can squeeze it on there, and you can push, and really, so it makes real good contact with it. And then just kind of leave it, and don't ding around with it too much, so that adhesive sets. So that'll stay in there nice and flush, just like that. That's how we want it. All right, now that our adhesive is dry and our foam is secure in place, I'll shut the tailgate here, and you can see how that seals up nice. There's no gaps, and if you look down, it's just like the other side. Our foam stops here, and everything down from that is our cable. I just wanted to show you real quick here before we put that other piece of foam on why we're putting it on. You can see here there's a gap. You can see this gap here, and foam will, or not foam, but dust will come up that, and it will come out of this gap right here. So that's why we're going to put that piece of foam going across the top of this, is to seal that little chamber up in there. All right, so this is super easy. This is where our gasket stops that goes down around the tailgate. We're going to take our piece of foam and press it right down on top of that and have it come right out, and we're going to cut it about 1/2 inch inside from the back of our truck. So we're going to cut this right here, put some adhesive on it, and stick it right here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cut a piece of foam and put it right here to fill in this gap. And if I shut the tailgate here, you can really see this gap right here. We want to seal that up, because when we close our cap, there's still a gap in here where that dust can get in. So I've found that putting a piece of foam in this gap to really seal it up really makes a huge difference. So same principle here. We're going to take a piece of this small foam, hold it up here like this, and we're going to cut it off flush with our cap. And then I'm going to spray a little bit of adhesive on the end here, and we're going to stick it on right here. Alright, so once that's good and attached and our adhesive's on there, I take this X-Acto knife and I line it up, and I make a little cut right along here like this. So I'll put it in there, and I'll make a slit. And this foam is kind of tough to cut, so you want to make sure you got a good blade, which mine obviously isn't the best. So I've got a slit in there, and what the point of this is so we can push it up on top of this little piece, this bracket that comes down, so it sits in there just like that. And I'm going to squirt a little bit of adhesive right in here so that holds it up just like that. All right, now that everything's kind of dry and I got it all sprayed, you can see that this is on there real nice and it's not coming off. And I'm going to shut the tailgate and we'll show you what it looks like now that it's all sealed up. All right, shutting the tailgate now. You can see how that gap is completely sealed up now. Now when I shut the lid on it, this whole area, this big junction where everything comes together is nice and sealed up now. All right, so that's about it. That's how I dust proof the cap in my truck for when I do all my camping on all my voyages. Again, it's not 100% dust proof, but it's really close. This system that I've come up with, it's been a complete godsend because I do a ton of traveling on gravel roads, and hopefully it'll help you guys make your truck camping a lot more enjoyable, and you'll be able to stay in some more favorable conditions. But again, if you guys like the video, please subscribe and check out Wells Outdoor Journal. But I got to get ready and start packing, get everything set up in here, and hit the road. I'm super pumped for my turkey hunt. Stay safe, everybody.